Imagine a world covered in water. Rivers swell, oceans rise, and rain pours endlessly from the heavens. The land disappears beneath the waves, and humanity is forced to confront the wrath of the gods, or nature itself. This is not the plot of a dystopian movie. It is a story that has been told and retold for thousands of years, across every corner of the globe. From the ancient Mesopotamians to the indigenous tribes of the Americas, from the Greeks to the Hindus, nearly every culture has a myth about a great flood that once wiped out humanity. Why is this story so universal? What is it about floods that captures the human imagination? And could these myths be rooted in real historical events? In this video, we will dive deep into the world of flood myths, comparing stories from different cultures, uncovering their shared themes, and exploring the possible origins of these ancient tales. By the end, you'll see that these myths are not just stories. They are windows into the collective memory of humanity. Our journey begins in ancient Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization, where the oldest known flood myth was recorded. The Epic of Gilgamesh, written on clay tablets around 2100 BCE, tells the story of a man named Utnapishtim, who is warned by the god Ea of an impending flood. Ea instructs Utnapishtim to build a massive ark to save his family, animals, and the seed of all living creatures. After the floodwaters recede, Utnapishtim releases a dove, a swallow, and a raven to find dry land. When the raven fails to return, Utnapishtim knows the land is safe. This story bears striking similarities to the biblical tale of Noah's Ark, which was written centuries later. Both involve a divine warning, a massive boat, and the survival of humanity through a single family. But the Mesopotamian version is older, suggesting that the story of the flood may have originated in this region and spread to other cultures over time. The story of Noah's Ark is one of the most well-known flood myths in the world. According to the book of Genesis, God decides to cleanse the earth of humanity's wickedness by sending a great flood. Noah, a righteous man, is instructed to build an ark and fill it with 2 of every animal. The rain falls for 40 days and 40 nights, covering the entire earth. After the flood, Noah releases a raven and a dove to find land. And when the dove returns with an olive branch, Noah knows the waters have receded. The parallels between Noah's Ark and the Epic of Gilgamesh are undeniable. Both stories feature a divine warning, a massive flood, and the survival of humanity through a single family. Scholars believe that the biblical authors may have drawn inspiration from the Mesopotamian myth, adapting it to fit their own religious and cultural context. In Hindu mythology, the flood story is told in the Satapatha Brahmana and the Matsya Purana. The protagonist is Manu, a wise and virtuous man who is warned by the god Vishnu, in the form of a fish, about an impending flood. Vishnu instructs Manu to build a massive boat and fill it with seeds, animals, and the 7 sages. When the flood comes, the fish guides the boat to safety, and Manu becomes the progenitor of a new human race.
The Hindu flood myth shares several key elements with the Mesopotamian and biblical stories, including the divine warning, the construction of a boat, and the survival of humanity through a single individual. However, it also has unique features, such as the role of Vishnu as a savior and the inclusion of the 7 sages, which reflect the distinct cultural and religious values of ancient India. In Greek mythology, the flood story centers on Deucalion and his wife Pyrrha. According to the myth, Zeus decides to destroy humanity because of its corruption and impiety. Deucalion, the son of Prometheus, is warned by his father and builds a chest to survive the flood. After 9 days and nights of rain, the floodwaters recede, and Deucalion and Pyrrha are the only survivors. They repopulate the earth by throwing stones over their shoulders, which transform into new humans. The Greek flood myth shares the theme of divine punishment and the survival of humanity through a single couple. However, it also includes unique elements, such as the transformation of stones into humans, which reflects the Greeks' emphasis on the power of the gods to create and destroy. In Chinese mythology, the flood story is associated with the legendary heroes Gun and his son Yu. According to the myth, a great flood devastates the land, and Gun is tasked with controlling the waters. He steals a magical piece of soil from the heavens to build dams, but his efforts fail, and he is executed. His son Yu takes up the task and succeeds by dredging canals to redirect the floodwaters. Yu's efforts take 13 years, and he becomes a revered hero in the founder of the Jia dynasty. The Chinese flood myth differs from others in that it focuses on human ingenuity and perseverance rather than divine intervention. However, it still reflects the universal theme of a catastrophic flood and the struggle to survive and rebuild. Flood myths are also prevalent among indigenous cultures in the Americas. For example, the Maya have the story of the Great Flood, which was sent by the gods to destroy the wooden people, an imperfect creation. The Inca tell of a flood that wiped out humanity, leaving only a man and woman who repopulated the earth. The Hopi of North America speak of a great flood that destroyed the Third World, forcing the survivors to emerge into the Fourth World. These stories share the common theme of a catastrophic flood and the survival of humanity through a few individuals. However, they also reflect the unique cultural and environmental contexts of the Americas, such as the importance of maize in the Maya myth and the concept of multiple worlds in the Hopi tradition. In Australian Aboriginal mythology, the flood story is often linked to the Dreamtime, a sacred era when ancestral spirits created the world. One such myth comes from the Gunditjmara people of southeastern Australia, who tell of a great flood caused by the ancestral spirit Bunjil. The floodwaters cover the land, and only a few people survive by climbing to higher ground. After the flood, Bunjil teaches the survivors how to live in harmony with the land. This myth reflects the deep connection between the Aboriginal people and their environment, as well as the importance of ancestral spirits in their cosmology. While flood myths are often seen as purely mythological, some scientists believe they may have a basis in historical events. One theory is that these stories are rooted in the memory of post-glacial flooding that occurred at the end of the last ice age, around 10,000 BCE. As glaciers melted, sea levels rose dramatically, flooding coastal areas and displacing human populations. Another theory points to localized flood events, such as the flooding of the Black Sea around 5,600 BCE, which may have inspired the Mesopotamian and biblical flood stories. Archaeological evidence, such as ancient flood deposits and submerged settlements, supports the idea that catastrophic floods occurred in various parts of the world during prehistoric times. Beyond their historical and cultural significance, flood myths also have a deep psychological and symbolic meaning. Water is often associated with chaos, destruction, and renewal, making it a powerful symbol in mythology. The flood represents a cleansing of the old world and the birth of a new one, reflecting humanity's eternal hope for redemption and rebirth. Flood myths also serve as cautionary tales, warning against hubris, impiety, and environmental destruction. They remind us of the fragility of human life and the power of nature, themes that resonate across time and culture. From the ancient Mesopotamians to the indigenous tribes of the Americas, flood myths have captivated the human imagination for thousands of years. These stories are more than just tales of destruction and survival. They are reflections of our shared humanity, our fears, and our hopes. Whether rooted in historical events or born from the depths of the human psyche, flood myths continue to inspire and intrigue us, reminding us of the power of storytelling to connect us across time and space. So the next time you hear a story about a great flood, remember that you are part of a tradition that stretches back to the dawn of civilization. And who knows, perhaps one day your story will be added to the tapestry of human mythology.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this journey through mythology and history, don't forget to like the video. It really helps others discover this content. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an epic story. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below. and tell us what you think about this tale and what mythological or historical legends you'd like us to explore next. Your ideas shape this channel. See you in the next adventure.